right, got my slides up. How's everyone doing? All right, so I hope you guys have had your coffee because we're gonna learn about how to make money, manage risk, and do some math, okay? So as intro, I'm Mike. Yeah, that's me. That's actually not me. That's actually an actor in a Wu Dang costume. But my background is I spent the first 7 years of my career working in New York and Hong Kong for investment banks like JP Morgan and Citi. So I was doing trading, structuring, building all kinds of weird derivatives. But after that, I realized, you know what? This is kind of bullshit. Because yeah, I was making money, and a lot of other people were making money, but so many people in the world could be doing this job. Really? Because it's actually quite simple. And if everyone in the world had the technology and the know-how to do this, that job can be done by anyone. And we can all be traders and market makers. So that's why I started Hummingbot 5 years ago. Hummingbot is an open source project. It's a framework that helps you build and run all types of strategies on all DEXs and SEXs. And then about a couple years ago, we realized that people actually need to be educated on how to use it. So we started a school for market makers and algo traders called BotCamp. Hummingbot is actually pretty widely used now. Many individual traders, as well as market-making firms, run Hummingbot for their operations. So in the past 3 months, we've had about $6 billion of usage that we track. And that probably doesn't include a lot of trading firms that turn off data reporting. But I think the most interesting thing is that we actually have 147 individual exchanges that people use, even though our code base officially only supports 50 exchanges. So many people have just forked our code and using it for their own purposes, and we have no idea what they're doing because our code is just free on GitHub that they can access. But to me, I actually love that because as long as the people use our technology, to me, that's a sign that it's providing value. But today, I've learned a lot about market making. I talked to lots of market makers and exchanges, and what I've kind of realized is that you actually don't even need to run a bot anymore. Because now there are these new types of exchanges that are based in smart contracts, and even if I'm not technical, even if I don't need a bot, I can still market make and make money by market making. So today, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. So first, let me go into a bit of theory, which is, what is a job of a market maker? Is it to provide liquidity? Is it to generate volume? Or is it just to make the number go up, right? And I think this area is a very opaque and shadowy one for many people in crypto. So here's my definition of what the job of a market maker is. I think it's price discovery. Price discovery is a term that people in finance use to talk about the evolution of an asset going from an entirely private one, held by insiders, no one knows what the price is, held by only very few, to one that's publicly traded, fairly traded, and widely held by both institutional and retail traders. So here's what that process kind of looks like. I have something called a liquidity maturation curve. So example of a private asset that's not traded, the first step is when it's first listed on some type of exchange. And then that's when it's very volatile because no one knows what the right price is, right? After a while, after some trading, now it's trading on more than one venue, and you have more sophisticated traders trading it. They're identifying the price range, finding comparables for that asset. And then finally, if that asset survives long enough, then it becomes a publicly traded asset held by everyone. And I think the goal for most token issuers is to reach that last step in the curve. But this step is difficult because someone has to actually take the risk, provide liquidity, and enable that price discovery process. So here's what it looks like for an equity. So let's take Uber, for example. Uber was started in 2010. It was private. It was VC backed for the first 9 years of its existence. And then in 2019, Uber decided to do IPO. When they did an IPO, they hired Morgan Stanley to be the underwriter and the market maker. So they IPO'd on NYSE, and for the first 6 months, Morgan Stanley traders were actively providing liquidity, trading Uber, and essentially helping the market identify the right trading range for that stock. And then finally, after a couple of years, now Uber, it becomes part of the top S&P 500, and it's now included in ETFs, and it's kind of become like a core holding for many institutional and retail traders. So if that's what it looks like for equities, let's look at the opposite end of the extreme and look at how does this work for the Mudang token. So this is the baby hippo. It was really hot for a couple of weeks, and then you had all these meme coins started on different chains. So this is the Solana one. On Solana, now most coins start on pump.fund because it's a fair launch platform where people have to buy from the bonding curve. And then after enough people buy it, it reaches something like $70,000 or $80,000 in liquidity, or in liquidity, then it automatically gets converted into a locked liquidity pool on Radium. This Radium pool is in what we call a CPMM, or like a V2 pool, where it's, as a liquidity provider, you can only deposit the full range of assets equally split between base and quote, or you can remove liquidity, but you can't do anything else. And so I think, in my opinion, these V2 pools are perfect for initial price discovery. And then after that V2 pool has existed for a few minutes, for a few days, then other market makers will come in and set concentrated liquidity MM positions on Orca, Meteor, and other V3 exchanges. So these are kind of like slightly more sophisticated because you define the price range during which your assets provide liquidity, and you can kind of like express different views depending on where you set your range and how you add and remove that range. And then finally, after another week, now Mudang's a $200 million token, and finally the order book exchanges like OKX and Bybit start listing it and becomes more institutionally traded. So from a curve perspective, this is the kind of the typical curve for most meme coins. And so you can see that every stage of the way, the asset is growing in volume and liquidity, and the market have a better understanding of what the right trading range is for this asset. So here, that's just an example, just to give you guys a flavor, but I think it's more useful to actually look at how to do it in practice. So let's do some on-chain market making on Avalanche. I'm using Pharaoh, which is a COMM exchange on Avalanche. And so I picked a random token. So as caveat, I randomly picked this token mainly because it's been in the market for a year already. Okay, in the market for a year, it's gone up and down. It's still trading at 7 million market cap. So this initial price discovery process was already done for me. So I'm fairly confident if I hold some Kimbo, it's not going to drop to zero immediately. Another reason I chose this coin is that it's not traded actively on centralized exchanges. The primary markets for this coin are on Avalanche DEXs. So first thing I did, got to buy some Kimbo. You have to own some asset in order to market make for it. So I took 2 AVAX, and I bought 1 AVAX worth of Kimbo, about $300,000 Kimbo. So my initial starting position, 1 AVAX, 300K of Kimbo. And then I went to Pharaoh, and I looked for the highest yielding pools by APR. So here's one. That APR is actually wrong because of some price math I'll go into later on. But basically, I thought, hey, you know what? I can probably make some money by depositing Kimbo in this pool. So I did. So I set a range from about 200K to 400K Kimbo, and then which is about half Kimbo, half AVAX, and I just put my 1 AVAX and $300,000 Kimbo into the pool. So basically, you set your range, you hit add liquidity, and then you add liquidity. So this is what my position looked like immediately after I created the LP range. I have my assets in there. I'm going to earn fees from 2 sources. First are the swap fees. When people swap Kimbo for AVAX back and forth, I'll make 1% on that trade. But also, I'm getting LP rewards from Pharaoh itself because Pharaoh has an incentive to attract liquidity. So they have an LP reward program where currently you can earn LP rewards simply by creating liquidity. This is a concept called liquidity mining. I wrote a white paper about it a few years ago, but now it's a very common type of incentive mechanism on many decentralized exchanges. So 12 hours after I created the position, I had racked up 10 cents in LP rewards and a small amount of swap fees. So here's the math part. Let's figure out what my expected yield would be based on this 12-hour kind of like gain of 10 cents. Okay, so I have about $55 worth of AVAX and Kimbo in this pool. So here's the basic math. I have $54 of principal. I collected 10 cents in 12 hours. So if you annualize that, the annual amount of yield I would earn if this position stays in range would be $73 over a 1-year period. So 73 divided by 54 is 135% APR. Actually, so I checked this morning. It's now about $2.70 in yield. So it's actually tracking toward this 135%. Now, there is risk here because I'm holding Kimbo, which might go down. I'm also holding AVAX, which might go down, but they also might go up too. And in my opinion, I think that this is the same job that Morgan Stanley is doing for Uber, except that now anyone, even with $54, can earn the same type of returns and take the same by taking the same types of risk by doing so on these pools. This is not, I would say, there are risks involved. I've been doing this actively personally for a while now. I've learned the hard way. I've gotten rugged, on very new meme coins, but I've also had a few successes as well. Especially in the last couple of days, for example, I've been market making for this new token called GOAT on Solana, and there's like 100 million daily volume versus like 1 million liquidity. So guess what? I'll make the fees if no one else will be, right? But I think that's an example where I think picking the right asset, picking the right entry point, as well as picking the right exit point are all extremely important. That's also why we teach this, because we teach how to run bots on order book exchanges, as well as how to set on-chain liquidity positions and make money by market making in our school. So we've done 9 cohorts. We're starting 10th cohort in about 2 weeks. And we're very excited about really trying to teach people both the theory and the application of market making on sexes and dexes. One final thing, we're also experimenting with creating meme coins. So we created an experimental meme coin yesterday. It's called Ricardo. And as a special bonus, if you buy some Ricardo, any amount of Ricardo, you will get a 20% off our tuition, which is worth about $600. And yeah, you get a special discount code. So if you're interested in taking advantage of the offer, you can talk to Ricardo, who's sitting over there, our CTO of Hummingbot, and yeah, you can take advantage of this special offer. Thank you, and yeah, I just want to teach you guys more about how this works.
Questions? Okay, so